Welcome back. Now we're on Carrigart map right now. So this is the one where I do the Carrigart contracting. So on this particular map we don't own a farm, we just do contract work for other farmers. Now I have actually started this map again, and I will show you why I've started it again. Just let me back my car out here. This is the one where we often used to go riding on the bicycle, but I'll just back this up here. In here. So, because we don't own a farm on this map, we live in that little townhouse there that we've just left, and we used to have contractors' shed where they tractors and stuff in it. Just down this road here, if we hang a left here. But I realised I made a mistake in setting that shed up the way I did, because with this map it's very limited the number of bales you can sell each day. So often, because of course whenever you do a contract job, there's always bales left over after you finish the contract that you get to sell for your own profit. And if I did 2 or 3 field baling contracts in a day, I used to end up with too many bales and I couldn't sell them all on that same day, and I had nowhere to store them in my contractor's shed. So now, if we can stop it here, check it to neutral. Okay, so we've moved the contractor's shed to over here because we've got a bit more room here to play with. We can store bales here that we can sell, but just if we've reached the daily limit for selling them. So we've got a storage area there for silage bales, and we have a slightly bigger contracting shed than what we had before. Again, the idea is that at the moment we only have contracting equipment for doing baling, but as money allows later on, the idea will be to buy a combine harvester in this game eventually. Now I'm just going to pick up a contracting job. I want to pick up that one, it's worth more, it's worth almost $13,000. So we'll accept that contract without the equipment, since we already have our own. Why isn't this? I'll start the engine first, that's why it wasn't working. So yeah, and we've got the 2 tractors here, the Class and the Renault. They're both actually exactly the same except for the paint jobs. I don't think there's any other difference between the Class and the Renault here. They've both got the same power output and everything. Let's pick up our mowers. Ooh, that's not good. We'll fold this back one up. I think the front one's already folded. Yep, that front Samaz mower there doesn't actually fold particularly narrow. Even with it folded up, it's still a pretty wide mower. So you do have to be a wee bit careful, especially because the roads on this map are not exactly wide. Now I think in the original version of Farming Simulator where Carrigart map was available, I have a feeling that the original version of this map was called Carrigart Town, but on this version it's definitely just called Carrigart 22, because we're playing on FS22, and this is what the problem is with that front mower. The mower is just slightly too wide for this back really, but it matches that back mower because they're both the same brand, which is why I use it. So perhaps I should have actually just not worried so much about matching the mowers on this and had a different front mower that wasn't quite so wide, but it is what it is. So just going up here now, past the church, and this street on the right there, that's the one that we live down. Just heading up here, past the church. Now, we've had quite a change of weather recently here in New Zealand. So it's Sunday evening now, and tomorrow is Labour Day, so I don't have work tomorrow. But last Thursday we had very, very high winds. The winds were up to 150 kilometres an hour, which that works out to what, 93 miles per hour. So yep, on Thursday we had winds of 93 miles per hour. Now just the gate that opens, come on then. Okay. And then today was a case of take the beanies out of the cars, the MX-5s, and instead put on sunscreen, because the sun was out so much that I could feel it beginning to... Oh, what's happening here? Okay, Houston, we have a problem. I might just go into this gate backwards, it might be easier. Oh no. Yeah, that's worked it. Yeah, I could feel the sun beginning to really beat down my arms today. So we've gone from having 93 mile an hour, 150 kilometre an hour winds, to having to wear sunglasses and put on sunscreen in the cars. Certainly not complaining at that though. So I'm just down. So today after church we went out to Macra Beach to have lunch there in the cafe. And I must admit that the cafe at Macra Beach has fast become a favourite of mine. The food is good, the service is good, but what really makes it such a brilliant cafe is the drive out there. The drive is just absolutely incredible. Quite frankly, I think they should change the name of the road from Macra Beach Road to MX-5 Lane or something, because it's the kind of road that feels like it's made for an MX-5. It's nice tight curves everywhere you go. Things. So absolutely love that drive out there and things. Yeah, did I miss a bit there? No, I don't think I did. Oh. Yes, maybe I did. Looks like I missed a bit of a strip there. Oh no, maybe that's just, no, that's just the shadow of the tree. That's alright, we didn't miss a bit. Okay. So yes, as you can see, I've started Carrigart contracting again here, so that we can start with a different shed, because yeah, I decided the other shed I had, there wasn't enough land around it, so there just wasn't any room to store bales. And as I said, with a lot of maps, it will allow you to sell unlimited number of bales each day, but because with this map the only place to sell bales is at the BGA. The BGA does only accept a certain number of bales. Once it's filled up, they won't accept any more, and so you can't sell any more until they've had a chance to process all the ones they've got. And so I just found that I didn't have enough place to store size bales if I had made too many to sell them all on that day. So we had started again for that reason, but I don't mind selling maps again, I really don't. So not when the maps I enjoy. So actually I don't need the beacon on out in the field. So now another interesting thing, when we got to church this morning, my wife and I were on parking. We were required from do either parking or ushering or something like that. You know, we were on parking today, and we discovered that the old school style lowrider club was up at church today. So that meant there were some very, very interesting cars at church to have a look at. So I took some photos of them, and I'm going to share them probably towards the end of this video. Let's just get some of this paddock mode first, and then I'll jump through and show you the photos I took over this morning at church of these lowrider cars. So that was interesting. Now, I did actually have, or I think I had, a wee bit of a problem with the last video I did. For some reason it seems to take forever to check when it was loading. It just didn't want to load up, and I'm not sure whether it's loaded properly or not, because it tells me it's loaded now, and when I log out of YouTube and then go back into YouTube sort of anonymously because I'm not logged in, I can find that video, but it's had, I don't think, any views whatsoever. So I'm actually wondering whether, even though it tells me it's publicly available, whether in fact it is actually publicly available. Because yeah, I don't think it's had any views apart from when I've clicked into it to see if it's working properly and things. So I would just be interested to hear. So I mean, quite frankly, I don't generally keep an eye on my stats and things, so I don't care sort of about how many people do or don't watch my videos. But I shared on that video what my next Lego building project is going to be, something that I'm quite excited about building that I've never ever seen done in Lego, and I was just a bit surprised I got absolutely zero comments on it. So I would be interested to hear from any of you whether you can actually see that video at all on the lineup. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you should go and watch it, or if you don't care whether you watch it or not, but I'm just interested to know whether it is actually even showing, because I suspect it may not be, even though I can see it when I try and access it. So if you're watching this video, just go and have a look and see if the last video I've got, which had a thumbnail of a little Ducati motorcycle, a little Lego Ducati motorcycle, just let me know whether you can see that one or not. I'm not trying to you know, force you to watch it. It doesn't worry me whether you watch it or not, but I'll just be interested to know whether you can in fact even see it. On with the mowing here, and whoops, I hate missing a bit like that when I'm doing a new job, so we'll go back and get that bit of grass there that I just missed. Now of course this Carrigart map I have set in the modern time, so most of my maps are set in the 80s. This one's set in modern times, hence why I've got this fairly modern tractor. And I must say that the Renault in the class, which as I said are both identical apart from colouring and badging, are actually probably one of the bigger tractors that I use. I can't remember exactly how many horses this is, in fact we could go and have a look, but I'm not sure. We're just going to have a look quickly to see what the horsepower of this tractor is. In there. So 130 horse. Oh, so there you go. It's not quite the biggest. It's actually a bit smaller than that big Fiat Agri 180/90, and the Steyr tractor that EP owns on belly spring map. But it certainly feels big, and it's certainly the most modern tractor I've ever used. But I quite like the look of this tractor, and that's why I've got this map set in modern times, because I wanted to use this tractor and try it out. So it was too new to stick on any of the maps, so I set this map here in the modern era so that I could give this tractor here a go. Yeah, I think what we'll do here is, oh, I missed a bit still. There we go, just back up and get that bit I missed. So yeah, I really hate missing bits, and it just drives me a wee bit nuts when I see that. When I see people doing a job like mowing or harvesting or something, and they leave little bits that they've missed. So, oh look, I missed a bit there too. So we'll swing around there and get that. Let's get that bit. Okay. I doubt a real farmer would actually, you know, be back from the forwards to get every little bit, because the amount of diesel you use and the amount of time you use to do it that way will be more than those little bits that you're missing are worth. But, was something wrong with the border of the field there, because it's telling me that would land there I couldn't do, and of course I do. I don't own this field here, we just picked it up as a contract job, but I should be able to mow all of this field with a contract job, not just parts of it. Now going around like this, I'm definitely going to miss lots of bits around this here, but we will probably do a second loop around to get those bits I missed. Getting with the sidebar on the back. There we go. That'll be more. So, I've got all those bits I missed there. I must have almost finished the second lap around now. This one's quite interesting. I have mowed this field before, so it's not the first time I've done this field. In fact, I think, if memory serves me right, last before I restarted this map under the old game save, this was the very first field I picked up contract for, and now it's the very first field I picked up contract for again. So it's interesting. Now we'll just but one of the things I do like about this map is that the fields are not just plain rectangular fields or anything. They have quite steep elevation changes in places. They have trees growing in the middle of them. They have interesting entrances into the fields. It just makes the map so interesting to play on when the fields are interesting fields like that. So going along the back of this field here, there's a big dip just up here on, you can see on the edge of the field, and when we get up a wee bit further you'll see a huge dip. You can see it right there in front of us, where it dips right down there. And plus of course this field also has a couple of trees growing in the middle of different things. Oops, and I've missed a spot again. But yes, these elevation changes and the trees growing in the middle of them and things like that make them very interesting to mow. Would probably make them awful fields in real life, so you don't want stuff like that, I'm sure, but it certainly makes them more interesting in Farming Simulator. I think we'll just finish across the back here of this field, then we'll pause it so I can try and show you these photos of all these lowrider cars that were at church this morning when we were doing parking. So I don't want the video getting too long, and it's already getting quite out there, so I shall just pause it here. Well, we need to pause it, probably not. We'll just, where are we? So that's not what I wanted. I need to go, is it that one? Yep. Task manager. Come on. I'll click that. I don't mind going to the task manager really, but that's the easiest way I've found of getting out of the game. And then we want this one, don't we? Photos. Okay, so these are all the lowrider cars that were at church this morning, which normally at church, probably the half dozen or so MX-5s that turn up on a regular basis. They're probably the most interesting cars in the car park. But yeah, there was a whole bunch of lowriders there this morning. You can just see my wife and my MX-5s parked in the background there of this photo. That one, I think from memory, is a fairly modern Cadillac, but I could be mistaken on that, but I think that one's a Cadillac. That one's a Chevy Impala. That one, I don't remember what make and model that was. It was probably a Chevy still, but I don't remember what model, I'm sorry. Perhaps one of my American friends will be able to tell me what that is. That one's definitely a Cadillac. Another Cadillac. I think that one's a slightly more modern one. Another Cadillac. That one I think is a Chevy Impala convertible. That one, which is probably my favourite of all of them, although it was a wee bit rough, this one, so, but if it was done up, if they'd finished doing it up, that's a Buick Riviera boat tail, I believe is what it is. I absolutely love the look of those, the boat tail Buick Rivs. That one I think was a Cadillac as well, but I'm not 100% certain. That's another Impala. Another Impala. Now that one is also pretty nice, that Impala wagon. I like that. No idea whatsoever what that was. That might be an Oldsmobile perhaps. I'm not as good with my American cars as I should be. That one, that's definitely a Chevy, and I think that's an Impala as well. but I'm not 100% certain if that's an Impala or not. That one's definitely an Impala, an earlier model one. That's about, well, I want to say 1959, I think that one was, 59 Impala. And that's Chevy Bel Air. I think, based on the trim on that, I think that's a 1956 one, because it's not a 55 and it's not a 57, so that must be a 56. Another Impala, another Cadillac. This one was a huge, obviously used to be a hearse. And the thing that I found interesting about this one, so if you see this line going down here, when the back of it opens up the whole back of the car. So there's no tailgate between the tail lights. The whole back end of the car, tail lights and all, hinges open. And that truck, I want to say Chevy, but I'm not 100% certain about that. I think that's a Chev. Looks more Chevrolet than Ford to me, but not 100% certain. And that's the last one I've got. So yeah, all those were at church this morning when we arrived, so that made it quite interesting, doing parking and things. And I can see this video has now reached 21 minutes long, so I will finish this field off camera and let you all go. But yeah, feel free to tell me what those cars are that I wasn't quite 100% sure about, and also just tell me whether or not you can see that last video of mine. As I said, I don't mind whether you watch it or not, but just interested to know if you can actually see it or not. So it had a thumbnail of a little Ducati made out of Legos. Just tell me whether you can see that or not. Okay, thanks. Bye.